A 14-year-old Philadelphia teen has tragically shot their toddler cousin, a 2-year-old girl. She was shot in the head. This happened Thursday. Tragically, the 2-year-old has been killed. She was rushed to Temple University Hospital but did not survive the wound. Police have said that it doesn't seem that any malicious intent was involved. It seems to have been a pure accident. The teen somehow gained access to a loaded and unsecured handgun inside the home, which is in Brewery Town, Philadelphia. The teenager shot at least once, hitting the 2-year-old girl. A neighbor saw the mother run out of the home holding the toddler and screaming for help. The witness called 911 and flagged a driver down to take the mother and the child to hospital, but again, the 2-year-old girl did not survive the wound. Tragically killed, being shot in the head by her 14-year-old cousin, seemingly accidentally. So how did the 14-year-old get the gun? Well, the gun belonged to a grandparent of one of the children in the house. Seemingly, the gun was unsecured. It wasn't locked in a safe. It was accessible by any of the children in the home, and there were 4 children in the home at the time. Further to that, the gun was loaded. Is it reasonable to have a loaded gun in the home? I would say yes, in my opinion. Certainly in America, you've got a lot of crime. I think it's reasonable to be able to defend yourself. I think having a loaded gun makes sense in that regard. But of course, those guns need to be secured. Kids are going to play with those guns. I presume that the police are accurate when they're saying that they don't believe any malicious intent was involved. I hope and pray that is the case. I hope the 14-year-old didn't purposefully shoot and kill the 2-year-old girl. I hope it was an accident, but of course, even so, that's going to be hugely traumatic for the 14-year-old. If we're to presume that the 14-year-old is a perfectly innocent person, which may not be the case, but if we presume it is, then this tragedy, knowing that they've taken the life of their 2-year-old cousin, it's going to destroy that 14-year-old. It's going to be a heck of a lot to overcome. But as one of my commentators have said, people are extremely resilient and flexible and adaptable, so hopefully the 14-year-old is able to overcome the trauma that has been caused by them accessing a loaded and unsecured gun believed to be owned by a grandparent of one of the children in the home. If the gun was adequately secured in a safe, locked away, then perhaps this incident wouldn't have occurred. So the grandparent, I would presume, needs to be held accountable to some degree. Is that unfair? Is it unfair to expect people to lock away their guns? They want the guns when their lives, their families' lives, their property is being threatened or invaded. I guess they'd rather not have to faff around looking for a key. They'd rather just grab the gun and have it loaded, ready to shoot. I mean, I understand that. Putting hurdles in the way of something which might save your life can seem like a silly thing to abide with, but the reasons for locking guns away is so that people who shouldn't have access to the guns don't have access to the guns, and of course that includes children. So I would hope and expect that the grandparent will be held accountable. I'm not suggesting that they necessarily need to be thrown away in jail for decades. I don't know. Maybe they should. But certainly they need to face some significant punishment to serve as a warning and a reminder to other people in the community that this ought not be tolerated. If you own a gun, even if you own the gun legally, it needs to be secured, especially if there are children in the home. I'm sure an investigation will continue. At this point, again, we're not told that charges against the 14-year-old are expected. If there was no malicious intent, then I would imagine that charges aren't applicable. If the child was just being a child, playing around with, seeing a gun, being excited by the gun, handling the gun, maybe accidentally firing the gun, pulling the trigger, perhaps not expecting the gun to be loaded, perhaps just not thinking things through. We could all be dumbasses, right? We can be dumbasses like the grandparents. Even at a grandparent's age, we can do the wrong thing. But a child is going to be more prone to doing the wrong thing, not thinking things through, not having complete awareness. So if there was no malicious intent, then I would think that they shouldn't be charged with anything. They were just acting like a kid. And I hope that they receive the therapy that they're going to need. Perhaps it will be appropriate to take them out of the family home if the family home aren't able to show that they are responsible, that they are a loving family. But maybe that's not required. Full condolences to the family for this tragedy. The mother obviously is completely distraught, having to run out of the home carrying her lifeless child, fearing, knowing that they're never going to come back. She's going to have a huge cloud over her head for the rest of her life. There were other children in the home, 4 in total. They're going to be affected by this, of course. So it's terrible. It's a terrible situation. So full condolences to the family. I think this is a topic which does require awareness, because it seems to me that these situations are avoidable if gun owners apply more care. And so with that, I guess we need, or the people with the guns need to be educated in regards to the dangers, reminded of the dangers of not locking away their guns, not securing their guns. I've just made another video just prior to this one in regards to a 5-year-old boy shooting and killing his 16-month-old brother. That happened in Las Vegas. The 5-year-old had cocaine in his system. His parents are drug dealers. So these tragedies really are somewhat commonplace, and with that, education needs to happen. In Australia, drivers are educated every 5 minutes. There are signs saying, oh, speeding cameras, you're not allowed to use your mobile phone whilst you're driving, you can get fined for this, that and the other. We're educated, and the fines serve as an education. Oh look, you've gone 10 k's over the limit, here's a $300 fine. Okay, well that's a bit of a wake-up call. If we're being educated through fines and signs and television adverts in regards to relatively minor speeding infringements whilst driving, then it seems appropriate to attempt to educate your gun owners about securing, locking away their guns adequately. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. So I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit, and take care.